We've got some
Hey, I'm Luis.
And I'm Luis.
And you're listening to the Content is Profit podcast.
And we spent the last 4 years learning the strategies and techniques from some of the top marketers in the world on how to create content that turns into profit.
If you want to learn how to turn that content into profit, go to contentisprofit.com. There's a surprise in there for you, and you'll be happy. You'll be very happy.
Go check it out,
yes.
and go join the Content is Profit family. Yes,
Woo, baby.
we'll be connected if you go to contentisprofit.com. That being said, I'm so excited for today's guest. I am very pumped up. I don't want to share this yet because it's gonna spoil the surprise.
Yes, leave it there.
But today we're gonna be talking about doubling your growth with focus and relationships.
Ooh.
So what we call hashtag juicy juicy.
Hashtag juicy juicy. Hey, Fonzie, do we have a sponsor today?
Indeed we do. Thank you for asking, good sir.
You're welcome.
Today's sponsor is your own, the Biz Bros. Yes,
go.
we sponsor our own episodes with content momentum. And you might be asking yourself, what is content momentum? Well, if you produce a long form piece of content just like this one that you're listening to or watching, and you want to turn it into value-packed, bite-sized assets, so then you can send them like little minions all over the internet so they can get you new clients. Well, we are the modern media team that plugs into your existing business and help you do just that. So if that sounds interesting to you, slide on the DMs at BizBrosCo on Facebook, on Instagram. Let's go.
That was so good. And guys, every week we bring you 3 incredible interviews. So go ahead and follow the podcast in your favorite platform. Also, go ahead on social media at BizBrosCo so you can see all the golden boulders, all those incredible pieces of content that you can see and learn from, and then take action and crush it. Oh, so good.
That is right. And if you find today's episode impactful, which I am sure you will, because today's guest is absolutely amazing, if today's guest helps you get one step closer to your goal, please share this episode because it can help somebody else as well. And please don't forget to leave a 5-star review. It really helps us reach more people and help more people as well. Thank you so much.
That's right. Happy Wednesday. And we are back for another incredible episode of Content is Profit. Today we have a very special guest here with us. We met her through PodMax, an incredible podcasting event you need to check out for sure. And immediately knew we needed to share her message.
That's right. Since that moment, we have literally seen her everywhere. She is currently the CEO of Chet Holmes International, which has helped over 200,000 businesses in the last 25 years. Just talk about impact.
Baby. She is the daughter of legendary entrepreneur and author Chet Holmes, who wrote The Ultimate Sales Machine. After inheriting the business, today's guest managed to double the company's clients 2 years in a row. Impressive! And now she is set on a mission of teaching others how to do the same.
That is right. Not to mention, she is one of the friendliest people in the internet, and I'm sure she's one of the friendliest people in the world as well in person. Please welcome incredible entrepreneur, creator of the Dream Buyer course, and our new awesome friend, Amanda Holmes. Welcome, Amanda.
Hello. Wow, there was a high-powered intro. Thank you, gentlemen.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I'm going to say we do it like that because sometimes, at the middle of the day, we need that little pick-me-up as well. The caffeine already went down, so it's like, we need to re-energize.
Yes, Amanda, I just want to say thank you so much for being here. And I want to highlight your commitment to putting your message out there. Oh my God. Can we describe a little bit where you are right now? I think this is wonderful because, the commitment to your message, the commitment to your community, the commitment to collaborating with other creators. So good.
I am in the middle of nowhere, Texas. I'm in the midst. I had some meetings in Austin. Now I had to do a drive, and I'll be in Missouri tonight, and then Orlando, and then Puerto Rico. But I'm on the road. I'm committed to being here. It's just a car show.
It's
That's amazing.
I mean, talk about technology, right? And we often say, like, with the show and committing with publishing, right? Like, there's literally no excuses to get our message out there. And you know, we're gonna discover this through the episode. Yeah. And I just want to say thank you. So,
wait, I just want to say something. We have another thing in common. I used to live in Nowhere, Texas, actually, right?
Exactly. Yeah. That place where you are.
That place where you are seems very familiar. Let me tell you, right? I lived in a small town called Wichita Falls my first year here in the United States, and I felt like I was in the middle of nowhere. I was like, where am I? But it was a beautiful experience. I love Texas, but now we live the Florida life.
The Florida life.
It's pretty nice.
Now, Amanda, for those who might not be very familiar, which now if you're an entrepreneur, you're not familiar with, you know, your concepts and you and your last name and your dad, right? Like, would you want to share a little bit of like your story? Like we understand that this was not the initial path that you took on, and something changed along the way. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. Well, let me back it up just a moment and say, so my father got his big break working for billionaire Charlie Munger, who's the co-chairman of Berkshire Hathaway with Warren Buffett. And he was able to double the sales of 9 different divisions for him, all within 12 to 15 months. And each one of them and multiple of them multiple years consecutively. Wow. So it was magnificent what he was able to create. He worked with over 60 of the Fortune 500 as clients. That's where our methodology started. And he realized that he could only make so much of an impact if it was just himself. So he trained him and the staff trained hundreds of different coaches and consultants around the world so that we could grow to be able to assist so many businesses worldwide. Yeah. I was a singer-songwriter. My father, if you asked me what he did, I said, he runs companies. I didn't really know much. And then he got ill and unfortunately passed away. That was the only battle he ever lost, because I tell you, he had enough pig-headed discipline and determination to do anything. So he passed in 2012. That was extremely difficult while grieving. I was very close with him. I was born on his birthday. So if you can imagine, there was just this kismet relationship. Wow. And to go from just, you know, my 4th record to now I have a couple hundred staff looking around. They're all double my age. I'm in my 20s. Everyone else is in their 50s and 60s. And here we are 8 years later. I've been CEO for the last 6, and we doubled sales last year. It was really nice. And just carrying on my father's legacy and adapting and integrating with what needs improvement or with the change in the internet and all of that goodness. Yeah. But it's mostly timeless. What my father taught from faxes and direct mail, I now incorporate in DMs on Instagram and LinkedIn messages.
Yes. I love it. I love this. Amanda, I'm going to be 100% honest. I read the book. I read The Ultimate Sales Machine about probably a year and a half ago.
He's obsessed with the notes. Can you see all
can
that?
Tell I took a lot of notes in this book.
I love it.
And it was one of the first books, honestly, that, that made me think about principles and foundations rather than tactics and strategies, right? And I loved it. I love the fact that, like you mentioned, pig-headed discipline, right? He uses those same exact words in the book. And I think it was fantastic because at that moment, I was definitely suffering of shiny object syndrome, right? SOS. And I just had my attention everywhere. And this gave me a little bit of a structure on what to do, right? At that moment, we thought we had a business, but we were just freelancers, right? We were just grabbing jobs here and there, trying to play business, right? If I may put it in a nice way. And this allowed us to get a little bit more structure in what we were doing. And I'm extremely grateful for that, right? That being said, I'm going to be honest, like until PodMax, I didn't know Chet Holmes had a daughter. Like I didn't go too into like his world. And when I met you at PodMax, I was like, that is so cool. And I love the fact that you're still working on this, that you believe so much in what your dad was doing, that you are like, you know what? These principles and foundations are timeless. Mm-hmm. I don't want people to, forget about them. I want this message to still be out there. And you put yourself out there as well, and you share this message, and you believe so much in what you guys are doing, which is absolutely amazing. Now, I'm extremely curious on how was that transition for you, right? Going from being a singer to now running such an incredible company.
An utter nightmare. It was terrible. Yeah. Yeah, it's a miracle that we're here today. It really is. I got very lucky to have some wonderful people to assist me along the way, but it was brutal. I don't know exactly what you want.
I think this is wonderful. I mean, the fact that you're showing such honesty, right? Because it could be very simple, being like, oh yeah, I mean, it was a cool transition, and is what's meant to be, right? And we're here to highlight the path of the entrepreneur, and sometimes we get there in different ways, right? Like you had this very different background, and now you're in charge of this incredible company that's creating actual change in the world. I mean, people implementing these principles of foundation. I mean, for us, it meant a lot. I remember having our first meeting, us just funds. Like now there's a team, right? And we do it every single day, and there's a process. But I remember having that first meeting, and we're like, what structure are we going to follow? Like, we don't know what we don't know. And we use the structures and the frameworks in the book to start that. And that ignited this fire in us, ignited the fire of progress, ignited the fire of taking action, and change started to happen. And we launched the show, and everything changed after that, right? Like, people are familiar with the story. So that's why we kind of ask, because, I mean, for a lot of entrepreneurs, they might be feeling that they're in a place that they might not belong, or they're jumping into a place that is very unknown. Like, maybe, I don't know how well you knew the company inside out to be able to run it at the time, right? And that adapting and moving on. So my question to you is, like, what kept you going, right? Because normally as human beings, we tend to reject that, right? We get into a position like that, and we're like, no, I'm gonna go back to the familiar thing. But the entrepreneurs are the crazy ones that are like, I'm gonna push through, right? Like George Bryan says, I'm gonna be the bison. I'm gonna be the guy that goes through that storm, right? Because the fastest way possible. So what kept you going? Why do you make that decision and continue to implement in the company, and now impacting, thousands, if not millions?
Well, a big influence for me was actually, I study under an Indian saint, Sarvalokama, Her Holiness Shri 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 1008 Guruji Punamji. It's quite long, or you could just refer to her as Guruji. And she kept telling me that it would be part of my destiny to assist and carry on my father's legacy. And I'd look at her and I'd go, no way. You gotta be kidding me. This is crazy. And I mean, just the craziest of things would happen. For the first 2 years, I was looking at different C-suites, trying to hire different CEOs, different CMOs, different presidents, VPs, you name it, just trying to fill the hole that my father left, Yeah. He wasn't a part of the day-to-day business for a long time, but it was as if this whole organism had lost its heart. Yeah. And to fill that void was very difficult. And I remember the first week that I stepped in as CEO, I finally said, okay, I'm going to do this. And so I said yes. Within the week, my merchant services shut down our accounts because somebody internally had told them that they didn't think that I could run the business. So hundreds of people weren't going to get paid there because payroll was cut and held within merchant services. I got served a lawsuit. One of my main JVs was up in arms. I mean, it was utter mayhem. My CRM system, we were about to go into Salesforce, and then we stopped it completely, and I had to decide whether we were going to stay with the current CRM system or have no CRM system. I didn't even know what a CRM system was. I didn't even know what a merchant processor was. I'm like, these people are really important. Wow, I really need to know what this is, right?
Wow.
So it was utterly insane, and a huge part that got me through was just being able to find a place to calm myself and get into actually more of a meditative state, to just kind of say, please let me be a conduit and just guide me on what I need to do, because I obviously cannot be in control of the situation. I just surrender. So that was a big part of it. My guru and Divine Bliss is a nonprofit. And once the mental piece was a bit there, then I just started following my father's methodology.
Wow.
There you go. Other than that, the proof of concept, please, guys, go ahead and get the book. The Ultimate Sales Machine. We're going to talk about more about that because, the fact that of that situation, as you're telling it, like my anxiety levels were just like increasing, and I'm like, this is insane. Just like picturing that environment, right? And sometimes we have these little bumps in the road or big bumps in the road, right? And you just gave a roadmap of, okay, let me surrender. Like that's so hard to do, right? Like let me surrender, and props to your guide and your guru. Incredible. And thank you for that person to put you in this spot that now you're able to help so many others, right? And I appreciate you sharing that story.
Yeah, absolutely. Same as my brother, my anxiety levels were rising through the roof as you were sharing this story. And I think it talks about how important it is to, be connected with yourself and be able to reflect and stop at moments like that. I think that is something that is being started to be talked a little bit more, but it's not. I think people don't talk about it enough. There's a lot of, we get indoctrinated into the entrepreneurship world with the hustle, right? And not about, hey, stop, reflect on what you're doing. Is it what you're doing the right thing, right? Like, how can we, align ourselves with what we actually want and be proactive in that sense, right? Again, proactive, another word that I love from the book, right? It talks about doing business in a proactive way rather than a reactive way. And I feel a lot of people just live in that reactive state. So I would love to transition a little bit into, the focus side of things and relationships. And I think this is a good point specifically for focus, right? Being proactive, being centered with yourself. What caused you to finally, focus? What was the result that you saw when you focus in the company, in these processes that already had built? And what are you seeing with the people that you're helping with? What are the results that they see when they focus on the right things, the needle movers?
So 95% of businesses never make it to $1 million in annual sales. And then of that, 98% never make it to 5 million. And then of that, 98% never even make it to 10 million. So if you look at what it takes to truly make it from one step of growth, right? You've strong-armed it to $1 million in annual sales. Maybe you can even get it to 2. But what's going to get you from 2 to 5 is a different skill set.
Yeah.
And you really have to let go and surrender what you did prior to know that you can get to the next place. And a lot of business owners have a difficult time with that. Maybe they're in control of sales. Maybe they're in control of marketing. But to be able to grow, you have to start putting people into those places. That's something that I was just interviewing one of my top coaches on last week. And he said, there's a lot of business owners that aren't ready to let go to be able to grow.
Yeah.
Which I found really fascinating. But so we basically break down and say let's say that there are 12 different areas that will grow your business. So for us, we have 12 core competencies to double your sales. Each chapter is a different core competency, right? And a lot of people come to us saying, wow, I want to do the Dream 100 strategy, right? It's the fastest, least expensive way to double sales. That one strategy has doubled the sales of more companies than any other. Yet, when we dive under the hood, a lot of the time what we find is that they actually run their meetings inefficiently. 56 million meetings happen every single day that are ineffective.
Wow.
So how do you run your meetings? I love that you guys said that, right? Time management. 75% of the workplace is reported ineffective according to Gallup. So what are you doing to manage your time? These are core foundational principles that can dramatically increase sales. And yet how many people are out there going, yeah, I think if I ran my meetings better, I could double my sales.
Yep.
Not a lot, right? They're not thinking that.
Huh.
Wow. I couldn't agree more with that. It's so important that focus, right? For us, it came when we decided to focus in one specific solution that we offer. Because we used to go to places and we branded ourselves at the moment as the anti-marketing agency. So we would go to places and we were like, yeah, we're the anti-marketing agency. And they would look at us like, huh? I don't like my marketing agency. And we're like, yeah, we don't like them either. And guess what? At the end of the day, we would end up doing something pretty similar to what their old marketing agency was doing. But at the same time, we were just doing so many different things: email marketing, building funnels, nothing very specific where we could put 100% of our attention. And it wasn't actually until we decided to focus and do the multi-purposing of the content, right? Content momentum, that we started growing, and we were able to now hire a team to help us with fulfillment and all these things. And that's when everything changed for us, when we decided to, okay, let's just do one thing. What is the solution that we're offering to people? And now what we're seeing is that transition. Like, we got to a point where, like, okay, how can we break through that ceiling? Now we need to work from the inside out. What is it inside of the business? What is that one thing that we need to focus so we can move on to the next stage? And for us, we discovered that our sales system, our sales process was a little flawed, right? So guess what? We are like head down, just working really hard to get that sales system in place so we can move on to the next stage.
And not just the system, but the offerings, right? Like, we went from one offering of the same product to like a suite of products now, and it's been incredible, right? Like, for the past 3 weeks, conversations happen that came from that focus that you mentioned in those stages, right? So yeah. Oh, so good. Okay, so you mentioned Dream 100. There's a lot of people out there that might know the term. It's been popular around the community that we kind of started with. The ClickFunnels community is a big community that we serve. And many others are kind of tackling that, are either they agree that this is a thing that they got to do, or they're like against it, right? And that, that sounds good. We don't batch it, but you're wrong if you are against it. But I'm kidding. Amanda, so what's the Dream 100 in your words? Like, what is it?
Yeah, like I said before, the fastest, least expensive way to double sales. My father originally created it working for billionaire Charlie Munger. So when he first started working for him, he was given a list of 2,000 different potential prospects. When he did some research, he found that 95% of the market was bought by only 167 out of those 2,000. So instead of the spray and pray model, they led an intensive dream effort to just those 167. And at that time, it looked something like, send a mailer on a Tuesday, follow up with a phone call on a Thursday. By Monday, it's an email saying, hey, did you get the mailer, right? Then another Tuesday was another mailer, then a follow-up phone call, then an email. And this just went on for months. So in the first 4 months, he got not one client. People started talking around the office, right? Like, oh, this guy's a sales superstar, huh? But he hasn't gotten one deal. But they were the biggest deals around, right? They were the huge organizations. Yeah. So in the 5th month, my father closed Xerox as a client. It was huge, one of the largest sales that the industry had ever seen. And subsequently after that, because of Xerox, they gained the trust and notoriety to close 28 more. They doubled sales in the 6th month and doubled sales for 3 years consecutively and 9 divisions. So there was even a moment when Charlie Munger called my father into the office and said, are you sure we're not lying, cheating, or stealing? Because I've never seen anybody double sell 3 years in a row. So it's magnificent, the power of focus and knowing exactly who your dream buyer is, to go from I've never heard of them before to, oh yeah, I've heard of them, to yes, we're working together, to I love them, I refer them all the clients in the world, right? Or if it's an affiliate, right? I perpetually promote them. So there's a couple of different ways you can do a Dream 100 from B2B to B2C.
Yeah. That I love that concept. And while you were sharing it, right, I was like, I've never seen it in this way. Kind of like is an investment, right? You're investing in these relationships. And, we live in a culture right now, we've mentioned this plenty of times in the podcast, that is so fast paced. People just want the quick win. They just want the growth hacks, right? And it's like, no, like, invest right now and you can, see the fruits later, right, of that relationship. And that's what the Dream 100 is planting the seed today, but we cannot eat the fruit on the same day. We're going to have to wait a little bit, right? And I think it's so incredible because obviously, I mean, your dad's story is the the testimonial to the Dream 100 that it works, and then many people have done it as well, right? But how do people get in that mindset of long term?
Right. I mean, you really have to think, what's the one client that could completely change your world? Right?
Yep.
Who is that one that's just, a dream buyer is someone that buys the most from you the most often, right? So like for me, coming full circle, right? At this time, I had been running the company for 7 years, and I got Berkshire Hathaway as a client. And then they got me, let's say, dozens of clients from that one client, right? And because Berkshire Hathaway, then I got several others because of that name. So, which was just fun. You know, it's a bucket list for me, right? Because my father worked for Berkshire Hathaway, and finally I got up the respect in the industry to be able to work with them as a partner later on. So that was nice.
I love it. I'm seeing, sorry, I know you want to share something here, but I see the word leverage in this as well, right? Hey, you're working so hard to partner with these companies that you want to serve, right? These amazing companies. And then because of your effort, you also get to leverage those relationships that you're building right now, right? And to a bit of a smaller scale, that is something that we've done with our podcast, right? We actually did an investment about a year ago that changed your life into a mastermind. And when we decided to bring guests to the podcast for the first time, right? That was around episode 20. We're on episode 163 right now. We're like, okay, who can we bring? And we decided to bring the coach in our mastermind, right? Because we had direct access to that person, and he was pretty high on the ladder of influence. So whenever we pitched somebody else after we interviewed him, we were like, yeah, this person has been in our podcast, right? And they were like, oh, okay, cool. I'm down to go. And we've done that, and we've managed to get incredible people, right? Like Todd Brown, Chris Doe, like so many incredible entrepreneurs. And now every single time that we're going to, try to get somebody in the podcast, we tell them like, hey, these people have been in this podcast as well. And I see that aspect in the Dream 100, right? As soon as you start working with these bigger names, it's like more doors start opening. You climb up the ladder of influence, and you're working with, that top company. And now you're saying, okay, let me work with, the top companies that might be a smaller level under them, but the doors is going to open in a faster way.
So here's the image, right? That as you were explaining it, like you see like this little like balloon kind of, bucket, right? And then you start adding marbles or rocks and little things, right? And it's going to start stretching. It's going to start like stretching, adding a little bit of weight, right? And you're like, man, nothing's really happening. But then you add another one, then you add another one, and here and there. And those are points of contact, right? Really high quality point of contact, genuine points of contact, right? Like serving first, right? And then all of a sudden there's this little hole that opens like right in the middle of the balloon, and like one drops, and then second drop, and then 3 drops, and this hole just opens up. And that was the image that was coming to my head as you were explaining. I'm a very visual guy, so like I think that's incredible, because sometimes we don't know like how long this stretching is gonna go for, but we gotta keep going. We gotta keep adding those pebbles, those marbles, right? And eventually that's gonna happen if we act in a genuine way. Now, here's my follow-up question to this and what Fonzie was saying about leverage. Some people might see or might interpret the word leverage as a negative thing. Like, I'm taking advantage of this, right? And that when we first started, that came to the table. We're like, man, does it feel fishy? Does it? Like, not really. We're actually like leading with a genuine care. Like, we're serving. Like, in our process, we're 100% confident, but we've heard those things from other people that we might explain the process of the show, for example. So what is your take on leverage? Is it a positive thing? Is it a good thing? Is that something that we normally talk about when Dream 100? What is your opinion on that very specific word?
I mean, I'm not exactly sure what you mean by leverage being questionable. Usually you need leverage. Yeah, leverage is huge. I'm sorry, I don't know in what context you're talking that it would be negative.
Yeah. So the fact that you answered that way means that it is a very positive thing for you, right? Like, so we've heard the comments, and again, like I'm playing a little devil's advocate here. Like, we 100% agree with you for the record, but here's like for some of the comments be like, that might be fishy. Why would you be like, are you taking advantage of that relationship? And I'm like, not really. We're adding value to each other, right? Like we're providing a solution on the, let's say it's your client, right? You're providing a solution. You're helping them. They're getting amazing success. Why should I not be allowed to leverage that relationship to continue to grow with them as well, right? So those are comments and different things that we've heard in different marketplaces. And maybe it's the mental space that different entrepreneurs might be at the moment, or they don't trust their own process. That's kind of like a little bit of the background that I wanted to play a little bit devil's advocate. But the fact that you answer that way, you're like, I mean, I'm not even in that mental place, right? Like this is a completely positive thing.
I don't think I'm following you on what you're talking about exactly. If you gave me a specific example, maybe I could assist. But as far as building relationships, that's what a Dream 100 is you build a relationship, and that isn't something where you're trying to steal from them, right? It's a long-term relationship. Yes. It's something that carries out over time, and you give and you give and you give, and then at some point you ask for something in return, and then you continue to give, and that is truly what a positive relationship is, right? It's not transactional. It's something that lasts as long as possible. So what can you do to leave that lasting impression? I know for me, I was trying to get the attention of Dave Woodward of ClickFunnels, the president of ClickFunnels, now CEO. And I had followed up via Instagram after I met him at an event. And for every single day for 3 months, I commented on every single post he had. He'd post about his children. He made a bet with his son that he couldn't eat sugar for 24 hours, and he couldn't even last 4 hours. And he bet $10, and I'm like, that was hilarious. You should have bet 50. Just like little funny random comments that would keep me top of mind. So he didn't reply to majority of these. He bought shoes, and he said, I'm about to go hiking. And I said, hey, I climbed Kilimanjaro. I know for a fact that if you go hiking on really new shoes, you're bound to get in a lot of pain. So you really want to wear in those shoes before you go for a long expedition in new shoes. Just value, right? I want, when he thinks of me, I want him to feel that I'm giving value, that I'm a valuable resource, so that when that time comes, when he does need my services, I'm the first thing he thinks of. That is creating top of mind awareness, and that is the number one goal of marketing, to create top of mind awareness, right? TOMA. So 3 months of this, where just I have screenshots of this. It's hysterical. I keep commenting, right? And every once in a while he puts like a little heart to reply to what I'm saying. So it was mostly a one-way conversation, right? Where I'm just like, trying to be as entertaining and hilarious as possible. I'm having a blast. I'm laughing hysterically at my comments. But it was enough to where after 3 months, finally they needed a book to send out to their 2 Comma Club members. And they came to me, him and Russell, and said, hey, we'd like to buy, a couple hundred Ultimate Sales Machine books. Is that okay? And I thought, of course it's okay.
Like, no,
silly question. But because creating that top of mind awareness and creating that relationship, that there was leverage there, right? And then when I came to release the Dream Buyer course, I had one dream affiliate in mind, right? I needed the validation of Russell. Even Russell learned the concept from my father, right?
Yes.
But then to reach out to him and say, hey, I'd love to interview you for our launch. And it wasn't just one email, right? I emailed him, I texted him, I Facebook messaged him, I Instagram DM'd him, I contacted Dave Woodward. I got him to say yes. Then I came back around to Russell and I said, hey, I got Dave to say yes. Can you do it now? Are you okay? On Friday, he said yes. By Monday, I did the interview, and it was part of my launch. So,
wow. Incredible. Incredible.
Being
Hold on.
in their face, in their place, in their space. That's what a Dream 100 is about. In their face, in their place, in their space, providing value to create that top of mind awareness so that they become clients, and they become clients forever.
Absolutely. Amanda, I don't know if you heard that, but the crowd just went absolutely crazy. This is amazing. I love this. This talks about that proactiveness that we were talking about, right? And not giving up. Like, we live in a world, there's a lot of noise. Right, a lot of people get a lot of messages and DMs, and usually the people that we want to connect the most are gonna be the people that are getting the most amount of messages. And like you mentioned, TOMA, right? Top of mind awareness is so important. Yeah. And how do we do that? With consistency. Let's be consistent. We say consistency is art. Right? And art is an acronym for authority, relevancy, and trust. Like, the more consistent you are, we usually talk about it in the context of content. But I think it is the same in the context of following up with people, right? The more they see you, the more they're going to trust you, right? Yeah. They are going to check out who you are. They're going to click in your profile because it takes them 0.5 seconds, and they're going to read your bio. They're going to see who you are. They're going to see if you're legit, and they might not engage with you, but they're going to know already who you are. And if you're always in front of them, you're kind of like resetting that top of mind awareness, and I think it's fantastic. I love that example with Dave Woodward and Russell. I think we need to definitely up our outreach and follow up.
100%. Yes. I mean, I remember it was the son Parker, because we can the sugar son was that Parker. He has been hilarious. He's been on the show. But yes, 100%. And this is what struck with me. It's simple, right? It's just be genuine about this comment or the interaction that you're gonna have with them, right? That provide value. And now we live in a day and age that this is so simple, right? Like, go back to your dad, right? Like, what were the methods, right? Like, mail, like in person, calls, like, it's different things. Right now we have this little device that we can be present, dedicate 10 minutes a day, right? Like 10 minutes before, find your primer. Like, I'm gonna eat lunch, okay, 10 minutes before eating lunch, I'm gonna dedicate to go into my Dream 100 and see what they're doing and commenting and adding value. What is it, right? And this has to become a habit, right? And this has to be a daily practice whatsoever, right? Like, so I think it's thank you for bringing this to this day and age, because I feel a lot of people that are starting their businesses can be really, there's a lower barrier to get started with this thing. Like, it doesn't have to be a massive investment. It's going to be your time. And in 10 minutes a day, really, let's go to our phones and see how much time are we spending on screen and, just swiping left and right. Like, right. And if this is the best way to double your sales, heck yeah, let's do it, right?
I mean, one of our mentors, he told us there is no, like, perfect sales system. There's no perfect content system. Like, what you have is just a relentless commitment to iteration, right? And this is it. Like, this is what's all about. That investment takes time and is long term. We already established that, right? So I think people just need to sit down, avoid the shiny objects, and be like, I'm going to do this for the long term. Because at the end of the day, you're gaining relationships with, first, yes, you're gaining business, but the value of having incredible relationships, like, it just changes your life. And I'm curious on that side, in your own personal life, how has, building these new relationships with people that are in your Dream 100 change, the way you live or your day to day?
A crucial part of the Dream 100 is figuring out who is truly your Dream 100. Yeah. So when I first started, I went after the big names because I just wanted the fame, right? I wanted everyone to know that I had worked with these big names, and whether it be the Fortune 500, I was the first one to close a Fortune 500 client since my father had passed. It had been a long time. And I was looking for the notoriety, but the more that I worked, the more I realized that a true Dream 100 is someone that will work with you forever, that you enjoy working with. It when you walk in the room, you are the best option for them, and they have been waiting, and they want you more than you would ever want them. I mean, wow, wouldn't that be nice, right? When you walk in a room, they need you more than you need them. So it's really a question of asking who is that for me? Who is that will continue to work with me forever because we just work so well together? And that sometimes gets lost in the fray when we're just like, okay, what's the biggest I could possibly do and how can I close them? Well, maybe you close them for one contract, but then, you can't get them ongoing. So there's a lot of steps to figuring out who that that ideal is. So for me, one of the big ones that were affiliates, first I went after the ones that had the most followings, right? Multi-million followers. And then I realized that they weren't really my ideal prospects. So then I started partnering with organizations that did technology. So they assisted in the process of marketing and sales. We're much more about the strategy behind that and the messaging behind that. Yeah. Who should you be reaching out to? What should you say, right? What is that process? So we were great complements. So I worked with Lead Pages. They, at the time, they were the #1 fastest growing company in Minnesota, but they did very well. In 4 years, they got 44,000 clients without having a sales team, which is unreal. They did it all through content marketing and webinars.
Wow. Incredible.
So Lead Pages was a great one. Inside sales was a great one. So finding who your dream buyer really is it takes tweaking, it takes practice. Yeah. But then once you know who that is, can you replicate it? Can it be duplicatable? Can it be something that's systematized so that it's not just you, said business owner, it's a team of people, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. You just spoke our language, systematized, right? I think that is so important. That is something, honestly, I think the first time that I was introduced to that might have been in the Ultimate Sales Machine, honestly. Those meetings, and then like, okay, let's do this, figure it out a way to systematize it, and then iterate through that process. And we do the same thing with content, right? It's like, first, we were the first ones to do it, and then it's like, how can we systematize it? And now the team comes in and they do the rest. And it's so, so important, because now it gives you the time to, bird's eye view, maybe a step out of that system and work on some other different things as well, or develop new other relationships, which is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, Amanda, as we're wrapping up the interview, I mean, this hour went by so quick, too quick. But here's the last couple questions, right? Like for that community that have been listening and paying attention to you, the Dream 100, and want to double their sales, right? What is the number one thing that they can do right now to start creating that momentum?
Buy the book.
Easy peasy.
I mean, I recommend The Ultimate Sales Machine. It's in the top 10 most recommended sales books of all time at this point, which is really wonderful. I mean, word of mouth, right? I have not even done much of anything over the last 8 years to promote it. It's just continued to sustain. So if you want decades worth of knowledge that came from my father for $16, I mean, that's the best ROI I can possibly start with, right? Or if you're like, okay, I really can't spend a dime, then we give chapter 4 for free. Yeah. So I also recommend that, right? How to get 9 times more impact from every move you make. That would be really great.
I love it.
And the first chapter, Time Management Secrets of Billionaires, right? How the 5 steps or the 6 steps that it takes you in the morning to increase your productivity by 500%. Just start working on you and maximizing your time, because billionaires have the same 24 hours in a day as all the rest of us. It's just they're masters at time.
Yeah. Incredible. I love it. Yeah, we're going to leave the link right below. So all you got to do is just scroll down and click in there, go buy it. It's probably the best investment that you've ever gone.
I just wanted to add to that. If you cannot afford the book, just send us a DM saying The Ultimate Sales Machine, and we'll send you the book. I think that's a good deal.
I think that's a good deal. Yeah, Fonzie, good job.
I mean, it's. I'm telling you, like, it's. I mean, not just by the amount of notes, but I like a book. I judge a book by the amount of times I go back to it to like reference things. And this is definitely on the top. Like, it's one of those that I've referenced the most, that I go back to because of those principles and foundations. So I know I can do that same thing for others. So if you're in need of the book and you cannot afford it, please let us know and we'll send it to you.
And that last question, our favorite question. Where will you be if you did not publish, right? If you don't put your message out there, if you don't show up to interviews, if you don't do interviews, like where will you be?
What do you mean, where will I be?
What would be of your life right now if you did not publish, if you didn't create content?
I You mean just in general, like
Yep.
for business owners, if they're not out there doing things, or
So some of the answers. Some of the answers that. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, if I wasn't running my business, I'm not quite sure which.
So here's a little bit of background for the question, right? Like publishing for us changed everything. We have different coaches, different people along the last like 4 years that were like, guys, you gotta put your message out there. You gotta be out there. You gotta start creating those relationships, starting having conversations with your dream clients. We may be people that you think that are dream clients, but they're really not. And then how do you find out, right? Through conversations like this, right? And for us, this is the vehicle that we chose. We chose a video podcast, and there's different assets that come after that then we've been able to build an incredible community, right? We launched a challenge not so long ago, 45 Live, going live for 45 days. We had 100 people being part of it, and it was incredible. And what an incredible experience. So for us, it changed everything, right? So everybody that we bring, they publish at some degree, and for some that has a meaning. For some others, it doesn't really change anything, but we just want to know, like, what has publishing meant to you, your company, personal growth, business growth. If none of those, sounds good too.
Yeah. Okay. So for me, it's just a little bit different because I inherited my father's life work in a book, right? So if it has always been for me that we have thousands of business owners on a monthly basis that are learning about our methodology. So I wasn't even publishing. My father did the decades of work and then the 2 years, 1 hour a week to write that book. And because of that, his legacy carried on past his death, right? And has been able to move on to me as a second generation business owner. And I'm sure it will carry on beyond me as well. I'm seeing to it that it will. Yeah. So to me, if he hadn't done that groundwork to publish and to do and to document all of the knowledge that he had, there would be nothing for anybody to be reading or recommending, so I would start even from there. Yeah,
absolutely. 100%. I mean, the word that you said, legacy, it's so important. It's so powerful, right? And we now can create that, right? For us, for the company, for our families, for our businesses, and you guys are the living proof of that. And thank you for leading the way. Thank you for continuing to share this with the rest of the world. And thank you for showing up.
Yeah, thank you so much for your honesty and for sharing this time with us. Any last thought that maybe we might have missed that you would like to share with the audience?
I guess ultimately it's about you doing it the way you being you. And that's where the most fulfillment comes is, trying to win Dave Woodward's business. I didn't do it any other way, but just the way that I found it to be entertaining and engaging. And for me, I like things to be fun. I don't know, maybe other people don't like to have fun, but I like to have fun. So it keeps me motivated and engaged. So, grant yourself the permission to operate from a higher, I always say I grant myself permission to connect to my higher self, something that I learned from my guru. And I think that that's a wonderful mantra to just live life by.
Yeah.
Then you take the high road, and sometimes it's the longer road, but it's the bountiful one with much more abundance. So, do you.
Yes.
Absolutely. Amanda, I'm going to throw this out there. I would love to have a part 2 conversation about these teachings and things that you learned from your guru. I think it would be an incredible conversation. I would love that. A little selfishly, I would love that conversation. But thank you so much. It resonated. Do it your way. If you want to have fun with it, have fun with it. If you don't like to have fun, well, do it in a way where you're not having fun. But it's so important what you just shared. Yeah. Where can people find you? Where can they connect with you? Send you funny messages and become friends with you.
You can go to ultimatesalesmachine.com, same name as the book, right? Ultimate Sales Machine. And there we have 3 wonderful videos that are for free that teach how to get 9 times more impact from every move you make. It goes more into the dream buyer strategy and also how to hire sales superstars. That's a really wonderful 1 hour a week formula to double your sales. And then if you want to say hello, you can always DM me on Instagram. And my name is Amanda Holmes, my salsa name.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
So.
We're going to have to go dance salsa now. Just saying. Just saying.
Oh, boy. You start me on salsa. I never stop.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Also, by the way,
yes.
Oh, this is going to be amazing. By the way, if you're going to throw another one of those Zoom concerts, that was great. I recommend people to join. You're a great singer as well. So, yeah, that'll be amazing.
Yes. All right, guys.
Awesome.
Yeah. Oh, this was so good.
I
All right.
know.
With that said, thank you so much for tuning into the Continence Profit podcast. Go ahead and subscribe. Smash that follow button on social media at BizBrosCo.
That is right. And if you find today's episode impactful and helps you move one step closer to your goal, please don't forget to share it. And go and show Amanda Holmes some love. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.